done it with Sevilla. He has done it as well with Villarreal. And now he has done it with Aston Villa. So let's welcome in the rest of our crew today. We have got Frank Leboeuf, who knows exactly how it feels to win some trophies. And I talked about Prince William being a lifelong villain, but we also have a man who managed to don that Aston Villa shirt in Thomas Hitzlsperger, who's joining us for the full 90 today. Thomas, show us the shirt, because I know you have an Aston Villa shirt on, and you must be celebrating. How does this feel? Champions of Europe once again.
It feels great. Thank you for having me on the show, and please forgive me because I'm not looking as smart as you guys do, and I did not stick to the dress code. But this will be the one and only time I will dress like this, because I had a great time, and to all my fellow Germans, I do apologise, but obviously with my history of Aston Villa, having played there for 5 years, I was so delighted to see them. The way they played, they deserved to win it, and Unai Emery, his 5th European trophy, absolutely brilliant. Absolutely brilliant indeed. Frank, what did you think of the game?
Well, that was a one-way traffic. I mean, it's the kind of game you dream of the night before playing it. You know, that's absolutely perfect for the players. You have a little bit of a competition at the beginning, then you score 2 beautiful goals half-time. You already know that it's almost done. You score the 3rd one just after. Game over, and you enjoy the final with the fans. Congratulations to the villains. It's nice to see 40 plus years after winning the same trophy. That's great for England. After that one, maybe you will have the Champions League, maybe you will have the Conference League as well with Crystal Palace. So everything goes well for the Premier League. Well done, Aston Villa. They had a great season. Unai Emery is a fantastic coach. He has changed the mentality of the villains, and it's just a deserving trophy for me. So well done to them.
Deserving trophy indeed, Stevie, especially after that game. As Frank said, this is the kind of game you dream of the night before a final. I mean, you look at the first 2 goals, and nobody picked up Thielemans, nobody picked up Buendía, and once we saw that, we knew this was going to be Villa's night.
Yeah, and before that, I said that Rodgers had a couple of opportunities as well. And so, yeah, it's really surprising. A cup final, you're always thinking, we don't care how we win it, we just want to make sure we do. And you expect some toil, you expect some trouble, you expect some nerves, you expect to be under some pressure. But it never happened. I mean, everything just went for them.
Yeah.
You know, you talk about scoring goals at the right time. I mean, to go in at half-time the way they did, and then of course the icing on the cake for me from Rodgers, that really did seal this game. But in all honesty, the game was done well before that.
Yeah.
Well before that.
Yeah, absolutely. It was definitely going to be Villa's night, Thomas. And I mean, when you look back at their season, this just feels like the icing on the cake.
It's always easier when you go into this final knowing you're already qualified for the Champions League. And I think everybody knows how much the Champions League means to Unai Emery. I was listening to Morgan Rogers after the game, and he was saying how calm the manager was before the game, which is very unusual for Unai Emery because he's always, so adamant about everything. I'll probably disagree a little bit, Stevie, because I felt up until the first goal, it was a more or less even game. Villa, they were quite good in that sense. They didn't take too much risk. They were waiting a little bit, but it wasn't as one-sided. But when the first goal went in, and obviously the second one, it was more or less game over. In the second half, there was no competition anymore. And that's frustrating, but it has to be said, Villa absolutely deserve it. And, I'm not surprised because you always look at both teams, the amount of money Villa is spending, Premier League as opposed to the Bundesliga. And yet you're hoping that in one game, things can be slightly different. But it wasn't going to be for Freiburg. And as I said at the beginning, I'm delighted. And you could see all the Villa fans that went there. And you can't imagine how many people asked me for tickets in the last few days and weeks since it was clear that Villa would go to the final. So I'm actually quite happy that it's over now.
Did you provide?
I did not provide.
Aww.
The moment you start, if you say I supplied one person, you can't stop.
Some things never change.
What's that?
When it's your team playing.
Yeah. You're always nervous.
You're always nervous.
Like Thomas is.
Thomas, all Thomas can see is things going wrong.
Yep.
And 0-0. When actually...
It was all Villa.
It was all Villa. I'm exactly the same when I'm watching my team. You're like, oh, we should have scored, we didn't take the chance, and then they're going to create something, and blah, blah. He sounds like an Aston Villa fan, which he is.
Well,
because quite honestly, Thomas, from the start of this game, I always thought Villa were comfortable, but as I said, some things never change. When it's your team, you look at it and leave it differently.
Well,
Frank?
I'm with you, Stephen. In a neutral point of view, Aston Villa had overall an easy game, but I have to say the first 15 minutes, it was really an open game where we could see that everybody was trying to get something special. And it's true that for 15 minutes, it calmed down and we didn't know what was going on. But yeah, I was never in stress for Villa. It's what I felt during the game. But Freiburg tried. And it's true that after the first goal, and especially the second goal, it was over. But it wasn't clear the first 30 minutes, I would say, until 40 minutes before the goal. But you felt Aston Villa in control, but they could have been surprised by Freiburg. It didn't happen. Good for them. But I understand Thomas. You know, you have to have some sweating, you know, a little bit. You know, otherwise it's not worth it.
It's not worth it. All right, Stevie, well, we're looking at Unai Emery's stats as manager. We know that he definitely is very much a respected manager, but his run in UEFA Europa League finals is just absolutely sensational. Was there ever doubt that he could do this with Villa?
No. You got to say, the way...
So you feel this success is down to him?
Yes. If Unai Emery doesn't go to Aston Villa, I don't believe Aston Villa win the Europa League. And as great as it is to see all of those, to be able to win 5 finals out of 6, you know, in a lot of cases, getting to the finals is the hard bit.
Yeah.
Winning it is the tough bit. Because nobody remembers who was second. But I tell you what, nobody's going to forget when it comes to the Europa League who's the number one? Unai Emery.
Yeah, Thomas, looking back at... Go ahead, Thomas.
Alexis, did you notice every single team you won a European trophy with has Villa in its name? So I'm currently
Sevilla, Villarreal, Aston Villa.
Exactly.
Oh, so that's the secret then. That's how he chooses his clubs. But look, surely the success is down to him too. Do you agree with what Stevie had to say, that if he didn't arrive to Villa, Villa wouldn't be here?
No.
100%. He's turned his club around, and of course the owners, they invested money, they supplied him with better players. But even when he first stepped in and took over from Steven Gerrard, he quickly changed the style of play, and the team got better and better. So he's clear about how he wants to play football. And tonight, obviously, I'd say more credit to the way they played defensively. You know, we talk about the goals, they're absolutely excellent, all 3 goals of them, but defensively, he was quite good, because throughout the Premier League season, there was a short period when people were even saying he could compete for the Premier League. I think they're too offensive and a bit too careless going back and defending. But tonight, they were so good defensively that then it gave them the freedom to go forward and do what they did. So Unai Emery, I'm absolutely a fan of his style of football. He's well, I don't know, it's a big name. It's a big name, but genius probably applies to him now.
Frank, what do you make of Unai Emery and what he's done at Villa?
I was very impressed with the way, and Thomas alluded it, he changed the spirit and the tactic of the team, and very quickly got the players behind him, and the results came along very, very quickly. And he needs to be sacred, maybe one of the best, or maybe the best coach Villa ever had, and that's for sure. Because I mean, I saw him again with Paris Saint-Germain, I saw him with Arsenal struggling, but I saw him with Sevilla and doing so well, winning 3 Europa League and being so successful. The guy knows how to handle players and how to make them getting better if they listen to him. It's harder maybe with big clubs, and it was very difficult with Paris Saint-Germain, of course. But he's able to manage any team, any squad, and bring the best out of them. So that's very good, and that's what we call a coach.
For Unai Emery personally, it would be nice to see him get another huge job again.
Like back at an Arsenal?
Yeah, because unfortunately, I mean, I think, you know, Thomas was talking about, you know, parts of the season where they were losing goals. I think that was because the squad's not deep enough.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, the way they're positioned off the field, he's not going to have all that much money to go and make the squad bigger in order to compete, not in the Europa League, but compete in the Champions League and for the Premier League. That's the one thing I feel sorry for Unai Emery about. There's no question that Aston Villa, under him, can continue to push forward, but how far can they actually go? Because he's not going to have the money or the depth of squad in order to push the big boys. So from that point of view, I'm not saying to Villa fans that he needs to go somewhere, but it would be nice to see him get one last chance at one of the top clubs where he has the money, the squad, you name it.
Hits, what do you think? Has Unai Emery taken Villa as far as they can go? Should he go to a bigger club?
That's crossed my mind so many times. Obviously, as a Villa fan, I'd never want him to leave. He's done a brilliant job. However, if you're one of those big clubs, you're looking at Unai Emery now, and as just been said, he was at Arsenal, he was at PSG. He didn't have the success that those two teams wanted. Will he get another chance? Would you go for Unai Emery if you're one of those big clubs? I'm not quite sure. I obviously see the brilliance in him. I would give him the opportunity, but I think owners of big clubs, they will probably look into the two major clubs he's worked for in terms of Arsenal and PSG, saying he hasn't probably delivered. And that's why he seems to be perfectly fine in this position where he's always overachieving with clubs like Villa, like Sevilla, Villarreal. That seems to be a perfect fit. But as I said, I think that the owners of Aston Villa Football Club, they will do everything they can possibly can to keep him at the club for a long, long time.
All right, well, Aston Villa's Europa League win does have some implications when it comes to the Premier League table, because now Villa's Europa League win means that the Premier League can claim a 6th spot in the Champions League. So if Villa end up finishing 5th, if they lose to Manchester City on the final day of the Premier League and Liverpool beat Brentford and they do finish 5th, then that gives the likes of Bournemouth or Brighton a chance to get some Champions League football. All right, but let's throw it back to this matchup that we saw. Hits, and I'm coming straight to you. Just spare a thought for Freiburg as well. I mean, they finished 7th in the Bundesliga at the moment, but they've had a great run to the final in the Europa League. How do you think they'll be looking at their season?
Well, tonight's huge disappointment, but again, they know where they're coming from. So there will be very few people who criticize them heavily, because it's always, we know, they've come up against a very good Aston Villa side. Overall, they're very happy with their season again, that they've qualified for the Conference League next season. And Freiburg is always the best example of a club in Germany that's constantly overachieving. They've been doing this for decades now. That's why tonight was a frustration, but overall, they'll be very pleased with the season. Julian Schuster, he's come in there, done a very, very good job, and they're just a very well-run club, and that's why tonight they will move on from it, but they've done that in the past. But to get there for them was a major achievement.